Well, hey there, everybody. This is J.S. Gilbert. Boy, it's been a while since I put anything up on YouTube, and I mostly do Facebook Lives. But I thought I would try and reach some of the folks out there in the YouTube community that are looking to eat healthier and live better, just as I am. I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional. I'm just somebody who likes cooking. I don't really have much issues with it. But I guess I was also eating a lot of the wrong food. So in mid-January of 2022, I went ahead and started looking at keto diets. And I'm doing what I would call a modified keto diet, a lot less fat than they actually have in theirs. But it's working so far. So it's a couple months later. I've dropped about 30 pounds. I am a diabetic, and my A1C has gone down, and I'm really excited. So this is the pudding here, and I'm going to just show you some of the ingredients that are relatively new to me. You might know about them, and it's not tough at all to make. So basically, I got a lot of non-fat powdered milk. So just go ahead. You need a blender for this. I find it works best. So I make about a quart of that up, non-fat blended milk. Then there's this product right here, which is, there's a lot of places that make it. Oh, and by the way, nobody's paying me to do this. I don't get a nickel from anybody, and I don't expect I probably ever will. But this is a pretty decent product. It's kind of like one of those things where you're just gonna have to feel your way around it and see how much you need to use depending on how much you make. I generally make a lot of this pudding all at once. My wife and I both like it. But this is Olive Nation coconut extract. There's a lot of other places that make it too. Essentially, this is just natural coconut flavors with, as you see, alcohol, water, and glycerin. So there's really no nutritive anything on here. There's no calories or anything like that. And this company, Olive Nation, makes a lot of other flavorings and things too. The other ingredient that goes into here is just good old gelatin powder. And look, carbohydrates 0, protein 1 gram. And this stuff. So you got milk, you got your coconut extract as your flavoring. Then there's this stuff, monk fruit sweetener. This is a golden one. Actually, I have a regular one. I grabbed the wrong bag out of the cabinet, but the golden one works well in recipes where they ask for brown sugar, light brown sugar. I have found though that it kind of taints the taste a little bit of this coconut stuff. It might work with some other flavors, but the coconut. So I just use a regular monk fruit sweetener, and I actually combine that with erythritol and stevia. So I use those three to sweeten. And again, it's totally up to taste. But if you look on the backside here, and again, a serving size, effective carbohydrates, 0, but 1 teaspoon has a total carbohydrates. And I still don't know how to deal with that, the total carbohydrates and net carbohydrates and carbohydrates from fiber and all that. So I generally go on a total carbohydrates until it gets explained to me better, and I'm trying to keep below 50, and that way I'm in what they call ketosis. Some days are easier than others. And then this is my last ingredient that I have, which is coconut flour, and this gives it a little bit of a coconut flavor. For whatever reason, it's not that flavorful. And you can use coconut flour in just about anything. You want to make stuff healthier, you can substitute this for like 25% of regular flour in just about any dish. And 2 tablespoons of this is 60 calories and 8 grams of total carbs and 6 grams of dietary fiber. So that means you're getting 2 net carbs, for those of you who are paying attention to things. So probably my guess is one serving, which is this right here, and it's a generous serving, probably has maybe the equivalent of about a tablespoon and a half of the coconut flour in it. And I don't know how much of the monk fruit sugar, but basically I take the non-fat milk, I make it in the blender for a quart, which makes, I don't know, about, how many of these? Maybe 7 or so of these in the final product. And for that, the first step is you take 2 teaspoons of this gelatin, 2 teaspoons, sprinkle it over about maybe, I do like a half to 2/3 of a cup of water, and you let it do what's called blooming. It just basically gets gelatinous. That's hence gelatin. And then you take your milk, and I add, I don't know, like maybe the equivalent of about 8 teaspoons, maybe 9, maybe 10, just depends. I don't really do a whole lot of measuring here. And I throw that in the blender with the milk. And then as much as this stuff is necessary, so a quarter of a cup, third of a cup, maybe third of a cup, I'm not really sure. Again, it's kind of, I throw some in, I let it whir, and then I taste it, and I see if it's sweet enough or whatever. So that's basically it. You take that milk product, which has the coconut flour and the monk fruit sweetener, and you take that and you put that in a pot and stick it on the stove, and you cook it until you start seeing some nice bubbles on the top. Stir it all the time so that it doesn't lump up or whatever. And I have found if you put the coconut extract in kind of towards the end of the cooking, basically to put this in there and not let it cook for more than a couple of minutes, you get more benefits from the extract. It kind of cooks out. And for those of you who have used vanilla extract or vanilla, I think it's very similar. If you put it in towards the end, you get more of the flavor. And then once it's boiled, let it cool off a little bit for like about 10 minutes. Then take your gelatin mixture, the bloomed gelatin, if you will, and you just throw that into the pot with the hot milk. And then stir it around really, really good, incorporate everything together, and then just stick it in whatever serving containers you want. And this is what you get. Now, one of the things that I also did here, which I don't know if I'm going to do in the future, because it made it a little grainy, is I had unsweetened coconut flakes. And so I put that in the blender, but it didn't really liquefy it. It kind of turned it into these like really, really, they feel almost a little sandy, if you will, on your palate. It's not unpleasant. It still tastes fine. It's okay. But I think probably what would be better in the future, if I do use the coconut flakes again, and remember unsweetened, I think I would toast them up first, get them nice and toasty, and then just throw them in after I've combined everything. And so it would have these little strands going through it, which I think would be a better mouthfeel. Or you could just omit them completely. So there you have it. It's a coconut pudding. I'm not exactly sure. You could probably do the numbers based on, how you go ahead and prepare it, but it is pretty darn satisfying, low calorie, low carb, and healthy for you. So there you go. Alrighty. Thanks, everybody.